All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a tool that is, no exaggeration, the secret engine behind a huge chunk of the software world, especially if you're in the .NET space. It's called NuGet, and honestly, without it, modern software development would be, well, a lot slower and a lot more painful. Let's get right into it. So, have you ever just stopped and wondered how these incredibly complex apps, for banking, for gaming, for everything, get built so fast? It seems like new software pops up constantly. How do developers keep from reinventing the wheel every single time they start a project? The answer is, they don't have to build everything from scratch. So, here's how we're going to break it all down in this explainer. First, we'll answer the big question, what is NuGet really? Then, we'll zoom out and look at the whole NuGet ecosystem. After that, we'll peek inside an actual package to see what makes it tick. We'll check out the tools of the trade, and then we'll tie it all together to show you why this thing is a genuine developer superpower. Okay, so first up, what is NuGet? The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like an app store, but for developers. Seriously, but instead of downloading Angry Birds or Instagram for your phone, you're downloading these ready-made chunks of code for your software project. Now, if we want to get a little more formal, NuGet is what's called a package manager, specifically for the .NET ecosystem. That's Microsoft's whole world for building applications. Its entire job is to be a central place where developers can create, share, and then use code that someone else has already written. It's the plumbing that lets one developer's brilliant solution become a building block for thousands of others. And hey, just a quick little public service announcement before we go any further. It's pronounced NuGet. Like how you get new code for your project. A lot of people say nugget, which is totally understandable, but now you know the inside scoop. NuGet didn't just appear out of nowhere. It actually got its start way back in 2010, and it was called nupkg at the time. But the real game changer, that was in 2012, when it was built directly into Visual Studio, which is like the main command center for most .NET developers. It went from this optional add-on to a core native part of the workflow. And today it's this massive, essential ecosystem that millions of developers depend on every single day. And that word, ecosystem, is really important. Because NuGet isn't just one single program. It's actually a system of different parts that all have to work together perfectly. Let's break down the three big pieces. So first up, you've got the client tools. These are the things a developer actually clicks on and types into on their own computer. We're talking about a menu inside Visual Studio or a command line tool for the power users. Think of this as your personal doorway into that huge NuGet world. Second, there's the central repository. The official name is the NuGet Gallery. This is basically a gigantic public library in the cloud where all of these shared code packages live. When a developer makes something cool and wants to share it, they upload it here. And when another developer needs it, they download it from here. It's the one central hub for everybody. And third, of course, are the packages themselves. These are the stars of the show, the actual individual pieces of reusable code. A single package could be anything, really. It might be a small helper for resizing images, or it could be a massive framework for building an entire web service. Each one is a self-contained bundle of power. Okay, so that's the big picture. We've got the tools, the library, and the packages. But now, let's zoom in a little closer on one of those building blocks. What is actually inside the box when a developer grabs a package? So at its heart, a NuGet package file, which has a .nupkg extension, is really just a plain old zip file with a fancy name. That's it. No magic. Inside this zip file, you'll find the compiled code, some other related files, and something super important called a manifest. The manifest is kind of like the label on a food package. It tells NuGet everything it needs to know: the package's name, its version, and, critically, any other packages it depends on to work. And this whole system creates this beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle. A developer creates a useful piece of code and packages it up. They publish it to the gallery. Then, thousands of other developers consume it in their own projects. And that inspires more creation, and the cycle just repeats. It's what makes a massive collaborative community possible. All right, we've talked about what it is and how the pieces fit together. Now for the practical stuff. Where do developers actually run into this? How do they use it in their day-to-day jobs? The short answer is everywhere. It's built so deeply into Visual Studio and Visual Studio for Mac, it feels like it's just part of the furniture. But you can also use it from the command line with tools like nuget.exe or the .NET SDK. It's in other popular editors like JetBrains Writer. It even supports C++ code. This is key. It's not some obscure tool you have to go find. It meets developers right where they work.
So, we've gone through all the nuts and bolts, but let's take a step back and answer the biggest question of all. Why does any of this really matter? What makes NuGet a developer's superpower?
Let's just start with one number. Over 200 billion. That is the unbelievable number of times packages have been downloaded from the public NuGet Gallery. Let that sink in. This isn't some small niche tool. This is planet-scale infrastructure that is holding up a massive portion of the world's software. And that mind-boggling number translates into some very real superpowers. First, it's about speed. Developers can build things so much faster because they are literally standing on the shoulders of giants. Second, it's about community. It creates this incredible global network of shared knowledge. Third, it simplifies one of the biggest headaches in software, managing all the different libraries your project depends on. And all of that together, that's what makes it possible to build the powerful, complex, modern apps we all use every day. At the end of the day, NuGet is so much more than just a tool. It's a fundamental pillar of how we build software now. It completely changed the game for sharing code and assembling applications. Which leaves us with one last pretty cool thought. With billions of these little building blocks being snapped together every single month, what amazing piece of our future is being built with NuGet right now?